Welcome back to our Nursing Guru live session. So today again we back with one more anatomy session, which is related to digestive system. Okay, so very first you people already know that what is this digestive system and all. I will be tell you it is consisting of digestive tract. Okay, so here you can see that. Okay, so the digestive system, or we will consist as a digestive tract associate with the organ of digestion, which means where the digestion is going to be takes place. What will be happen from mouth to the anus, we will call it as a digestive tract. Okay, so the digestive tract, so it provides water, electrolytes, vitamins and nutrients to the body with the help of the circulatory system, okay, which is going to provide the help, which is going to provide minerals, vitamins, water, electrolytes to the body to survive. Okay, so the next thing is that here in the digestive system it will be start from the mouth. Okay, it starts from the mouth. Okay, so then here the person will be start to consume the food that is going to be mixed up with the saliva. So due to the help of the salivary glands, there will be a secretion called saliva. It is good, our tooths are help to chew the food. Okay, so after that, so it is going to be start to travel. Okay, so so now we can see what are the parts which will be present in the digestive system. Okay, here you can see that mouth will be there. So it will start from the mouth, already I said. After that pharynx. Next we have a esophagus. Okay, so esophagus is the first part of the stomach. So after here, okay, so here esophagus will be there. Esophagus, after that stomach. Okay, so the next thing is that small intestine. Here you can see the small intestine. Okay, so small intestine. So here this part we will call it as a small intestine, then large intestine. Here you can see this is the large intestine. Next one, here you can see the appendix. Okay, appendix will be there. Large intestine, it is also called as the colon. The next one is, after that rectum will be there. Rectum and the anus. Okay, so anal canal will be the parts of the digestive system. Okay, so this is the structure of the digestive system. First one is mouth. Mouth is also called as the oral cavity. Okay. So imagine it is a mouth, okay. So mouth is also called as the oral cavity. It is the first part of the digestive system. It is the first part of the digestive system. First part of the digestive system. My dear students, you have to understand that the digestive canal or the digestive tract will be start from the mouth, okay. So and it bounded anteriorly by lips, and laterally by cheeks, and superiorly by palate, okay. So here superiorly by hard palate will be there, okay. So and the next one is inferiorly by the muscular floor, okay, inferiorly by the muscular floor, okay. So if you learn correctly in the first unit means these terminologies are not going to be difficult for you, okay. So once again I will repeat, mouth, the digestive tract which will be start from the mouth, okay. So this mouth is also called as oral cavity. So here what it will be happen, it is bounded anteriorly by the lips and laterally by the cheeks and superiorly by the hard palate, okay. So here you can see superiorly upside, okay. So superiorly by the hard palate and inferiorly by the muscular floor. Understood? So next one is teeth, okay. So after the mouth, teeth will be there. Teeth are embedded, okay. So here you can see the teeth are there. The teeth are embedded in the sockets, the jaw of alveolar process and mandible and maxilla, okay. So it is embedded with the sockets of jaws and it is going to be embedded with the alveolar process, okay. Suppose you think it is a teeth, okay, then it is attached with the mandible and maxilla, okay, mandible and maxilla. The next one is that in adult individual, how many teeth will be there? So in the adult we are having a 32 teeth, okay, 32 teeth. Understood? So the next one is that in the in each jaw, upper jaw and lower jaw, 16 teeth will be there in the adult, okay. So that you have to know, okay. Later on, now we can move with the tongue, okay. So in this session till stomach I will take, in the next session we will take the continuation part, okay. So now we are seeing the tongue, okay. So oral cavity is over, teeth is also over, okay. So once again I will repeat, mouth is the also called as oral cavity. It is embedded anteriorly with the lips and laterally with the cheeks, okay. So superiorly with the hard palate and inferiorly with the muscle floor. This much you know means better, okay. So next thing is the structure. This is you have to write, okay. So a normal diagram you write, okay. Then after teeth, okay. So this teeth, so molar, premolar, everything will be there, okay. So molar will be there. So here in each jaw 16 pair of teeth will be there, togetherly 32 teeth. Okay, so this much is enough. So the purpose of teeth is for the chewing, okay, chewing purpose. The functions of the teeth is chewing, okay. Next thing. Next is that tongue. What is this? These are the bacteria. If you are not cleaning your tongue properly, this will affect you, okay. Simply I am joking. So this is the structure of the tongue, okay. So easily you can write it down. A tongue is a mobile muscular organ in the oral cavity, okay. Tongue is the mobile muscular organ in the oral cavity, which means the movable muscular organ. Okay, tongue is the movable muscular organ in the oral cavity which bulges upward from the floor of the mouth, which can be able to bulges upward from the floor of the mouth. Okay, then it is a mass of skeletal muscle covered with by mucous membrane. It is a mass of skeletal muscle. It is made up of mass of skeletal muscle. Okay, once again I will tell, it is a mobile muscular organ. Okay, so this is a mobile muscular organ. Okay, so the next thing is that it is made up of mass of skeletal muscle. So, skeletal muscle, and the muscle mass is separated into right and left halves by midline called fibrous septum. Okay, fibrous septum. So, here you can see that it is the muscle of mass is going to be separated into right and left. So, the right and left we will called as the fibrous septum. Okay, understood? So, that is made up of skeletal muscle. So, we will call it as a that it is going to be separated into right and left. That midline we will call as fibrous septum. Okay, so here fibrous septum. Then the tongue is separated from the teeth by that one. Here it will be there, the fibrous by deep alveolingual sulcus. Okay, so the tongue is separated from the teeth. Okay, so from the teeth by deep alveolingual sulcus. Okay, so that is all about the tongue. Okay, so now we can see the functions of the tongue. The functions of the tongue are like a taste. First one is taste. Second one is speech. To speak, we need a help of the teeth. Okay, so tongue will help in speaking. The next one is shape. Shape of the tongue is conical in shape. Okay, here you can see conical in shape. Okay, shape is conical. Okay, while writing in the anatomy, shape is conical. Tongue. Okay, remember that one. The next one is external features of the tongue is that a root, a tip and a body. Okay, so it is going to be externally divided into root, tip and body. So, the musculature of the tongue. The next one is musculature of the tongue. Now we can see the muscles of the tongue. The first one is that it consists of extrinsic and intrinsic muscles. Okay, extrinsic and intrinsic muscle will be there. Okay, so muscles of the tongue. Extrinsic muscle and intrinsic muscles. The intrinsic muscles are within the tongue and have no attachment outside of the tongue. Okay, so the intrinsic means it is inside the tongue and there is no attachment outside of the tongue. Okay, so that muscles. Then whereas extrinsic muscles take origin from outside of the tongue, extrinsic muscles will be there and enter to the tongue to be interest. Okay, so the next one is the intrinsic muscle change in the shape of tongue, whereas extrinsic muscles are move the tongue. Okay, so such as protrusion, retraction and side to side movement it will do, no. So by the time this intrinsic muscles are going to be change the shape of the tongue, but this extrinsic muscles were going to be move the tongue. Okay, help in movement of the tongue as well as alter its shape. Okay, again it is going to be alter the shape of the tongue. Okay, so this much is okay as a point of which one? Examination. So now we can see that intrinsic muscles. Okay, intrinsic muscles, superior longitudinal, inferior longitudinal, transverse and vertical. Okay, so intrinsic muscles are superior longitudinal muscle, vertical, transverse and inferior longitudinal muscles. Okay, so the next one we have extrinsic. Extrinsic is genioglossus and hyoglossus, styloglossus and we have platoglossus. Okay, so it will be make you to feel difficulty while pronouncing it. Pronounce 1 or 2 times, you can able to remember this one. Okay, extrinsic muscles are genioglossus. Okay, genioglossus, hyoglossus and styloglossus and we have a platoglossus. Okay, platoglossus, those are extrinsic muscles. Okay, extrinsic muscles. The next one, arterial supply. Okay, so through the artery, which artery it is going to be drain the blood. Okay, so the blood supply we are seeing now, arterial supply to the tongue is that the branches of the lingual artery, it is also called as chief artery of the tongue. Branches of the lingual artery and it is also called as chief artery of tongue. Then next one is tonsillar branches of the facial artery. Okay, so the tonsillar branch of the facial artery. Okay, so next we can see the one more arterial supply. So that is what? Ascending pharyngeal artery. Okay, through the ascending pharyngeal artery also there may be a there is a blood supply. Okay, so the next one is venous drainage. Through which vein? Deep lingual vein. Okay, so when it comes to this blood supply, you just remember that lingual artery, lingual vein. Okay, so superior lingual artery and deep lingual vein is going to be drain the blood to the tongue. Okay, the next one is nervous supply. So the nervous supply is that first one is motor supply and the sensory supply. In the motor supply, all extrinsic and intrinsic muscles of the tongue are supplied by the hypoglossal nerve. Okay, hypoglossal nerve except palatoglossus. Okay, so all all these muscles will be there, no? So those muscles are getting the nervous supply by the hypoglossal. Only palatoglossus muscles are not going to supplied by the cranial nerve, and then of accessory via pharyngeal plexus. Okay, so these are the nervous supply. And next one we can see pharynx. Okay, so the next is pharynx. Okay, you can see here that the pharynx is a funnel shaped. Okay, funnel shaped. How it will be there, funnel? Okay. So it is a funnel shaped. Okay, so funnel shaped. It is a funnel shaped fibromuscular tube. Okay, it is a funnel shaped fibromuscular tube extending from the base of the skull, skull to the esophagus, The next one is, it is lined throughout with mucous membrane. It is lined throughout with the mucous membrane. It is built from the end of the skull, and which is going to be continuous to the esophagus. Okay, esophagus pharynx structure will be there. It is a tube like a structure, and which is going to be like you can say that the mucous membrane will be surrounded with that. Okay, so it is a fibromuscular tube-like structure. Then the pharynx acts as a common channel for both food and air. Okay, so it should be acts as a both common channel for the food and air. So the next one is that the measurement, the length of the pharynx is, the length will be 12 to 14 centimeters. Okay, so 12 to 14 centimeter is the length of the pharynx. Okay, so 12 to 14 centimeter is the length of the pharynx. The next one is that it is width. Width is 3.5 centimeter, 3.5 centimeter at its base, and 1.5 centimeter pharyngo-esophageal junction. Okay, so in the pharyngo-esophageal, so in this junction, which is 1.5 centimeter, and its width is 3.5 centimeter. Okay, so 3.5 centimeter is the width of its base, and when it comes to this end, 1.5 centimeter at the pharyngo-esophageal junction. Okay, so where it will be meet esophagus, that junction. Okay, so the next one is esophagus. Okay, hope you guys are clear with the pharynx. Pharynx is a fibromuscular tube like a structure which is start from the end of the skull, and which is going to be end in the esophagus. Okay, so here you can see that the length of the pharynx is that 12 to 14 centimeter, and it will be helpful in transfer. It acts as a channel in transferring the food and the air. Okay, both food and the air. The next one, here you can see the width of the pharynx is 3.5 centimeter and 1.5 centimeter at the pharyngo-esophageal junction. Okay, so that is the structure of the pharynx. Okay, so the next one is esophagus. Okay, esophagus. Okay. So, it is a starting of the esophagus. This is it is a pharynx end. It is a esophagus. Okay. Now, we can see the parts of the esophagus endal before going to that one. So, the esophagus is a narrow muscular tube. Okay. It is a narrow muscular tube extending from pharynx till to the stomach, extending from, this is the end of the pharynx, and here, from here to till stomach, it is going to be extend. Okay. So, that is the esophagus. It is a muscular, narrow muscular tube and extending from the pharynx till to the stomach. It is about 25 centimeter long. Okay. How much? 25 centimeter long will be there. Okay. So, it is a 25 centimeter long and provides a passage for chewed food, which means chewed, already chewed food will be transferred. No, we will call it as a bolus. That chewed food we will call it as a bolus, and its liquids during the third stage of deglutition. Okay, so during the third stage of deglutition, once it will be start to chew and mix, and then after in the third stage of deglutition, later we can see in the physiology that deglutition and all. So, that is going to be travel through the esophagus. Okay. So, the next one is the anatomy of the esophagus is important. Why? Because its involvement in the various diseases such as esophagitis and esophageal varices and esophageal cancer. So, these are the disorders we can expect because of this involvement in various diseases condition. Okay. So, this organ also going to be involved. So, for that reason it is very important to study the anatomy of the esophagus. Okay. It begins with the lower part of the neck. Okay. It is begins with the lower part of the neck and terminates in the upper part of the abdomen. Okay, terminates in the upper part of the abdomen. Okay, here you can see this is the upper part of the abdomen. Here only it is going to be end. Okay, it will be start here, but pharynx will be end here. Okay, so this pharynx end, that's esophagus will start. In the stomach first part, esophagus is going to be end. Okay, so this is the thing you have to know. The next one is so here we have the parts of the esophagus. Okay. This is the pharynx. The next one, cervical part. Okay, so from here it is called as the cervical part. Okay, so it is all about 4 centimeter. Okay, so the next one is thoracic part. Okay, from next to here we will call it as, I have written very small, that is why thoracic. Okay, so why? Because it is near to the lungs, that is why thoracic part. Okay, so it is all about 20 centimeter. 20 centimeter. Then remaining will be the cervical part, thoracic part, remaining will be the abdominal part. Okay, so remaining will be the till the stomach, it is a abdominal part. Abdominal part. Okay, so it is all about 1 to 2 centimeter will be there. So totally it is 25 centimeter. So this is the thing, and here we have a cardiac orifice. Cardiac orifice, open. Okay, orifice means opening. Okay, so this is all about the structure of the esophagus. Okay, so once again I will draw. Okay. So, this is all about the esophagus, okay, esophagus, and here this much if you learn about this esophagus is enough, okay. If they are asking about the esophagus, you can write it down, and after that if they are asking brief means write some constrictions also. Normally there are 4-5 constrictions will be there. Sorry, 3 or 4 sides of anatomical constrictions will be there. Narrowing in the esophagus, to narrowings in the esophagus we will call. Then the distance of each constriction is measured from the upper incisor teeth. Okay, so we are going to be calculate the distance of the each constrictions, okay. So from narrowings will be there. So 3 narrowings, 3 to 4 narrowings will be, the sides are there in the anatomical structure of esophagus. So that is going to be calculate in the from the upper incisor teeth, okay. So this teeth. The next one is first constriction at the pharyngoesophageal junction, okay. This is pharyngoesophageal junction. Here the first constriction is there. It is all about 9 centimeter or 6 inches from the incisor teeth, okay. From the incisor teeth it is about 6 inches. 6 inches distance will be there to the esophageal junction, okay. So that is the first constriction, okay. That is called cervical constriction, okay. So that will be measures means it is about 9 centimeters, 6 inches will be there from the upper incisor teeth, okay, upper incisor teeth. Sorry, in the incisor. The next one is second constriction. Second constriction where the crossed by the arc of aorta 22 centimeters, 9 inches will be there from the incisor teeth, okay. So the second constriction which is called as aortic constrictions, okay. So here aortic constriction we can call it. So in that aortic constriction which is about 22.5 centimeter, 9 inches long, and from the incisor teeth, that much distance will be there. And the third constriction, so that is what diaphragmatic constriction, diaphragmatic constriction, okay, diaphragm. So the diaphragmatic constrictions here. The next one that is about 27.5 centimeters, 11 inches from the incisor teeth, okay. That much gap will be there, okay. The next fourth one, fourth constriction where it pierces the diaphragm 40 centimeter, okay, from the incisor teeth, okay. So that is what fourth incision, okay. So next we are moving with the stomach. So esophagus finish, no, esophagus is a muscular tube like structure, understood. It is all about 25 centimeter will be there. Cervical and here you can see cervical, thoracic and abdominal part will be there. So cervical is 4.4 centimeter, thoracic is 20 centimeter, and abdominal is that 1 to 2 centimeter will be there, total 25 centimeter. It will be start from the end of the pharynx and start of the and it is going to be end in the start of the stomach, okay. So this end of the pharynx we will call as a, togetherly it will met here, no. So that is why we will call it as a esophageal junction, okay, esophageal junction. esopharyngeal junction. So, and then it will be going to be here. Here you can see in starting of the stomach diaphragm region, it is going to be start. Okay. So, now we can move with the stomach. Stomach is a J-shaped organ. Everybody know it, that I know. But lot of things are there to learn about the stomach. Okay, so stomach is a J-shaped organ only, that is not enough. Okay, so the stomach is the widest and most distensible part of the alimentary canal. Okay, so it is one of the widest and most distant part of the alimentary canal between the esophagus and the duodenum. Okay, so between the esophagus and the duodenum there is a lot of distance will be there. Forms a reservoir of the food. Okay, which is going to form a reservoir of the food. Okay, so the next mixes food with the gastric secretion from the semi-fluid substance called chyme. Okay, so here in the mouth we have crushed it, our food. Okay, in breakdown into small particles. Okay, then it will be come to the travel through the pharynx and the esophagus. Okay, so from the esophagus it will be come to the stomach. By the time it start to mix with the acid. Okay, so secretions. Okay, so here strong HCl will be there. It start to mix with that secretions from the semi-fluid substance. Okay, here it will be turned as a semi-fluid substance. So that will called as a semi-fluid substance we will called as a chyme. Okay, so this crushing while eating, no, here we are breakdown, no, that is mixed with the saliva, that is called as a bolus. Okay, so now it is semi-fluid substance, we will call it as a chyme. So the hydrochloric acid secreted by the gastric glands. Okay, here we have a certain gastric glands. Okay, in the stomach. So there is the secretion of the HCl will be there. Okay, so hydrochloric acid. Okay, so that secreted and destroy the bacteria which is present in the food and milk. Okay, so it is food and drink. So whatever you will drink, whatever you will eat, a certain kind of bad bacteria which will be there. So that kind of bacteria were going to be killed with the acid secretion. Okay, so which is secreted by the glands, gastric glands. Okay, so now we can see the shape of the stomach. Shape is a J-shaped organ, J-shaped organ. Then size of the stomach, the capacity is all about, it's all about 10 centimeters, 10 centimeters. Okay, so the next one is the capacity of the stomach is variable as the stomach is highly distensible. Okay, so it is a variable thing. At the birth the capacity is 30 ml. In the birth, when you are born, by the time 30 ml is the capacity at birth, 30 ml. Okay, so the next, at the puberty 1000 ml, 1 liter of capacity will be there. In adults capacity 1500 to 2000 ml capacity is there for the stomach. Okay. So now we can see the external morphological features of the stomach. Okay, external features of stomach. So the external features, two ends will be there. One is here Okay, so one is here, you can see that it is a cardiac and pyloric. Okay, so this ends, okay, two ends. This is a cardiac end, this is a here this one. Okay, we'll call it as a pyloric end. Okay, so pyloric end. Two curvature is there, one is greater curvature, another one is lesser curvature. Two curvatures is there, greater and lesser. Okay, so you can distinguish among you only. Okay, then two surfaces are there, anterior surface, posterior surface. Okay, anterior surface, posterior surface will be there. Okay, so anterior is the superior surface and posterior inferior surface will be there in the stomach. Next, we have the parts of the stomach. There are four parts of the stomach. We will call it as, first one is cardiac part, or we will call it as the cardia. Okay. One more diagram I will write. Okay. So this part is there, no? It is called as cardia. Upper part is there, no? This is fundus. This is body. Then this one is pyloric canal. Okay, so this is pyloric canal here. This is pylorus, sorry, this one. Okay, so majorly you just remember this much, and sulcus intermedius will be there, pyloric antrum will be there. Okay, so here there will be two distinguished, sulcus intermediate and as well as the pyloric antrum. This is pyloric antrum, and this is sulcus intermediate. Okay, so understood this much, no? So these are the parts of the stomach. Okay, so this is all about the stomach, and we have this much, if you remember, means it is well and good for your examination. Tomorrow we can see the blood supply of the stomach. So this is a small introduction regarding the stomach and all. So most of the things, structure and all finished. Relations and blood supply tomorrow class we can see. Okay, thank you so much for watching. So in detail class you just do subscribe to our plan, and as well as subscribe to Nursing Guru, and for more information contact the number which is given in the Nursing Guru description box. Thank you.